For many people, Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 are considered to be two of the best games in Star Wars. It was many people's first introduction to the Old Republic era. Now, as most of you know, the Knights of the Old Republic franchise did not come out with the third game. So what I wanted to do in today's video is talk about what we know about the third game and what it may have entailed. But before doing that, I want to talk a little bit about why the game didn't end up happening. Unfortunately, like many things in life, the cancellation partially had to do with money. In the early 2000s, LucasArts was going through changes, and for some odd reason, they believed that it was a waste of money to license out Star Wars to other gaming studios like Obsidian. Obsidian was the studio that had plans to make Knights of the Old Republic 3. In 2004, Jim Ward became president of LucasArts and began the task of prioritizing in-house games that were made by LucasArts. So when Obsidian pitched Kotor 3, they were denied, and it was instead given to a team at LucasArts, where it was eventually cancelled as it wasn't considered a priority game by them. It's very sad and unfortunate because many people were looking forward to that game. Okay, so that's why the game was cancelled, but what do we know about it? Well, firstly, in Rogue Leaders, the story of LucasArts, Rob Smith, who was the former editor of PlayStation, mentioned some of what we might have gotten in Kotor 3. We know from him that one of the characters in the game was a female named Narisha. It's unknown if she was the main character, a villain, or simply a side character. There is artwork of an unknown female character in Rogue Leaders, so this could be her. There's also some interesting artwork made by LucasArts. There's some very cool looking ships and designs for what look like soldiers. Okay, so from Rogue Leaders we know a little bit about what LucasArts was working on, but what about the plot for the story that Obsidian was working on? So Chris Avellone, the developer of Kotor 2, gave us an idea of what the third game may have looked like. He said that the third game would have basically involved you, as a player, following where Revan went and taking the battle to ancient Sith Lords who lived out there. So if you remember in Kotor 2, Revan disappeared and isn't around to assist Mitra Surik or any of the Jedi. So from what we can gather, the main characters of the game would be following Revan's path into the unknown regions. According to Chris, their journey would have taken them into regions of space ruled by these ancient and powerful Sith beings. Chris also said that we would be able to dig more into these Sith's psychologies, their personalities, and their history. There were going to be a lot of cool interactions with these beings. He also said that because these beings were ancient, they wouldn't just be ruling a solar system, but swaths of the galaxy. That's so incredible and probably would have added a lot to Star Wars lore. Can you imagine getting to meet and interact with Sith beings who ruled various regions of the galaxy? You just know that these conversations would have been incredibly well written and deep. Imagine what ideas these beings would have about the Force. Imagine their own individual stories and histories that we would have been able to explore. Now, from what I can tell, the story in the Revan novel may have been somewhat inspired by the plot that the third game was going to have. Some of the story beats are similar. In the Revan novel, Mitra Surik, the main character of Kotor 2, follows some of the steps that Revan took on his journey, which was more or less going to be the plot of Kotor 3. Just less complex. So that's the little of what we know about the cancelled Knights of the Old Republic 3 game. I think it's very unfortunate that this game wasn't released. It seems like it was going to be an incredibly enjoyable game. Now with that being said, I do still really enjoy the Revan novel as an alternative to Kotor 3. I think that it helps answer a lot of the questions that these two games raised. But I would love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. What are some things that you would have liked to see in the cancelled game? Thank you so much for watching. May the Force be with you all.